How many of you have tried to look at starting a new skill, for example, and you always ask, how do I do it? But the first question you should ask yourself is why? When you understand the why, the rest falls into place. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Sravan Alopi. Welcome to today's workshop. So today I'm going to give you a brief introduction into minimalist training. This is a type of fitness training, and explain to you a little bit about Reiki and how you can combine the two to achieve a more holistic and optimized form of health and well-being. Okay. Now, my brand, my company is called Vanguard 6, and just a brief definition of what a Vanguard is a group of people leading the way in new developments or ideas. And this brings me back to minimalist training. So, just a quick show of hands. How many of you work out? Fitness training, yeah. How many of you have used a personal trainer before? A personal trainer, like a fitness trainer? Okay. In terms of working out, if you go to the gym, say, four plus times a week, do you think that's a bit much, a bit too excessive? You find maybe you don't have enough time, or you'd rather do better things? Because honestly, I agree, and I'm a personal trainer. Right? So spending endless hours at the gym is boring. And this is where I discovered minimalist training. But before we get into that, let me give you a brief sight behind who I am. So my name is Sravan Alopi. I am an ex-army medic. I served in the British Army for 8 years. And as you can imagine, it was very physically demanding. Right? Lots of running, jumping, sprinting, carrying lots of heavy things, going the distance until you reach the objective or you passed out from exhaustion, right? And honestly, this was a big milestone for me. Since I was a child, I'd always dreamt of becoming familiar with Captain America. Yes, everybody is familiar with superheroes. Marvel superheroes. So this was a big point for me to reach in my life. But one thing that I didn't quite enjoy, so to speak, even though I always enjoyed fitness, was just the amount of excessiveness, right? The constant stress, the constant pressure of continuously pushing, which is great for building mental resolve. However, not so good for the body. And a lot of people who went through training with me either got physical injuries, some of them actually got medically discharged, which led to, well, more medical problems. They couldn't work in normal life because of how excessive the training was, right? So going into the military, I was also very fascinated with medicine. So I have a medical degree where I studied the human anatomy at length. I also learned a lot about human psychology. And would it strike you to believe that humans don't like doing hard things for very long periods of time? I know I don't, right? Even running up this presentation, I wanted to do it in the quickest amount of time so I could just move on with other things, right? Because let's face it, we all have better things to do than to just sit at a desk from 9 to 5, working a job that we all intrinsically have something where, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves, it comes from a point of insecurity. Years, lots of training, lots of studying, doing lots of things that I didn't like, but it paid off because, again, it built that mental resilience. Physically, was very demanding. So as you can see, Exhibit A, here I am at a sort of convention where we would use our equipment in the civilian sector. You can see my ambulance is being overrun by enemy children. Yeah, lots of medical supplies were lost that day. I did a lot of cool things in the army. Yes, I met a lot of people. I enjoyed my time in. I also worked with the frontline medical sectors, so during COVID. Who remembers COVID? Yeah, remember that? Yeah, that. Some people say it's a psyop. Some people think that it was a hoax. Just this little flu that went around and shut down our lives for about 2 years. Well, there I was over there, doing my bit, fighting the good fight, doing COVID vaccination parades, making sure that people were okay, their health was squeaky clean. And there I am, actually. I'm in the helicopter. I was being loaded up as part of a medical exercise. So did some fun stuff, right? Got to play soldiers, got to be Captain America for a bit, run, shoot, play with the cool toys. But then things started to change a little bit, especially around the pandemic time. I noticed that people's attitudes towards physical training, which is good for boosting our mental health, and also just efficiency in the workspace. Right? This is actually the psychology behind why the military train the way they do, is because a healthy body is a healthy mind, which makes a healthy individual, which makes an effective individual. The problem is that during the COVID phase, a lot of people's mental health went straight down, which meant that they no longer had the drive to physically pull themselves out of bed, to physically operate to the standard that they once were held to, which meant that their effectiveness overall went down. And I followed suit. So after 8 years in the military, I decided to do one of probably the most stupid moves of my life, which was leave the army in the height of the pandemic. There was literally no jobs, no gyms, nothing was open, right? So I was effectively jobless, landed feet first into a phase which arguably in our lifetime was one of the most bizarre and chaotic. Nobody knew what was happening. There was so much misinformation being spread, a lot of fear-mongering, so that's safe to say. And so I just fell into that state of decay. This was my physique before I left the military. That was me in just 1 year. In just, 1 year of just staying at home, becoming a bit of a vegetable, right? And being a young man, I shamelessly admit that I enjoy the odd video game. I enjoy Netflix. I love Marvel movies. Who doesn't like Marvel movies, right? Anybody here doesn't like Marvel movies? Oh, get out. Get out. No, get out.
The old ones.
The old ones. Okay, yeah, the old ones. Yes, let me clarify. The old timeline, right? But you see, anything in moderation is okay. But when it becomes excessive, that becomes negative. It becomes a bad habit, especially if it's reinforced over time. And this goes especially for things like training, overtraining, even eating too much of healthy foods. If you eat too many high fibrous foods, you will give yourself diarrhea. Not a good way to live your life, right? You can even overhydrate, believe it or not, right? The human body is only meant to have between 1.5 to 2. Don't quote me on that. That's about 2 3/4 liters a day, and that's just for the normal human. Some of these people who push 4 liters plus, you're actually going to rupture your kidneys at some point. So if anyone does that here, please stop, right? But I got into a very negative rut, into a state of excessively delving into bad habits. Why? Because, I had no purpose. I lost my purpose. And when you're in a position where you feel as though you once had so much routine, organization, and structure, I think everybody here can relate to that. Going into the office is part of your routine. Working from set time to set time is part of your routine. Then if health is part of your routine, you'd go and do your health-related activity. But when you're being told you can't go to the gym, you can't socialize with people, you can't move around freely. It locks you in a box, right? And this is where things started to take a crucial turning point, because I was by far in the lowest part of my life. So come to 2022, I just asked myself a simple question, and that's why? Why did I start doing what I did in the first place? Why is it that I joined the military? Why did I decide to put myself through hell going through med school in the military, which was essentially like a foundation medical degree, which is stretched over 5 years in the UK. I had to do that in 2. Why did I do that? It's because I wanted to make a difference. It's because I felt as though I was meant to be someone that could inspire and help others in understanding their potential when it comes to health and fitness, but more so their mental well-being, right? And a lot of people, I find, get caught up on the wrong question whenever it comes to starting a new activity, task, or whatever it is that they assign themselves to. They always ask the how. How many of you have tried to look at starting a new, learning a new skill, for example, and you always ask, how do I do it? You know, how do I become rich? How do I become a better footballer? How do I become more athletic? But the first question you should ask yourself is why? Because without a strong why, you will never commit when times get hard. That's one thing that I learned as well. When you understand the why, the rest falls into place. So, here are a few reasons as to why you should have a strong why. It gives you square one. For me, coming back from that sorry state that I was in, I realized why it's important to have a strong body. Never mind the aesthetics, never mind looking good, right? Looking good is fine, but if you don't feel good, what's the point? If you don't feel good in your skin, you're basically cheating yourself. You're telling yourself a lie. Look at all these fitness influencers online who are constantly posting about how to get to the maximum state of physical well-being, but then you hear about them committing suicide, falling into bad habits. How many of them are using anabolic steroids because they can't bear to look at themselves in the mirror? I have a friend who tells me that every time he looks at himself, he physically wants to throw up. And he's jacked. Like he is the type of person that could be a professional bodybuilder. And that just reinforced to me, well, why are you doing it? Why are you putting yourself in this position if you don't enjoy it? So I had to look at myself, I had to look at my body and ask myself, okay, why is it that you want to be healthy? Why do you want to be fit? In order for me to be a good personal trainer, my personal belief, right, some may disagree, is you need to look like you actually do the thing that you are trying to help people achieve, right? You wouldn't ask a broke person how to make a million euros, $1 million, right? You wouldn't ask somebody who doesn't own a car, what's the best car to buy, right? Just like you wouldn't ask an out-of-shape personal trainer for physical training advice, okay? It gives you structure. When you understand the why, the rest falls into place. When you understand why you want to commit to an objective, you understand how you will do it. You understand where you need to go to fulfill said need. If I want to become a bodybuilder, I'm not going to achieve that by running ultra marathons. That is actually the opposite way that you build muscle and recruit tissue. Bodybuilding is done by resistance training over a period of time in a gym. It's also by building a body by eating the right foods, right? Has anyone here heard the phrase, you can't out-train a bad diet? No? Okay. I'll break it down. If you go to the gym and if you train and you feel healthy, but then you're going to McDonald's or quick, right? And if you're having that every single day, you're not going to be building a healthy body. You'll look okay, but then you start to feel rubbish because you're feeding your body with, well, poison, right? You're feeding your body with suboptimal nutrition. So by having structure, you understand, okay, I need to source my foods from, whole food ingredients. Okay? Yeah, okay, you can have the odd cheat meal here and there. This is minimalist training at the end of the day. I'm not trying to make everyone here a bodybuilder. But you need to have a good foundation to lay out your structure. And last, and I wouldn't say least, but one of the last points here is that it gives you drive and motivation. Because without motivation, there is no drive. And if you don't have drive, you can't stay motivated. But all of this together helps you come back to the why when motivation starts to slip. Raise your hand if you have set yourself a goal, such as, I don't know, as an example, I'm going to start waking up at 5 a.m. every morning to be more focused and to get more done in my day. And after 2 weeks, you fell off. Yeah? No?
Yes.
You do it consistently?
Well, I'm a morning person.
Oh,
so
well, I salute you because I'm not. Yeah, no, Elias.
The whole question is the why.
Yes.
What's the clear line that you give between an intrinsic and extrinsic purpose?
That's a very good question. So, for me, the line that separates an intrinsic and an extrinsic purpose is honestly, well, it's just being transparent with yourself, right? It's understanding. Hang on. When you ask that question, are you asking me to differentiate or how it feeds into both of them? Just for clarification.
Yeah, how it feeds into both of them.
How it feeds into both of them. Okay, yeah, perfect. So a classic example, physique, right? Fitness. I wanna lose weight. I wanna lose fat. I wanna gain more muscle. The intrinsic why for me would come from, well, the fact that I was always the skinny kid that got bullied in school. We all intrinsically have something where, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves, it comes from a point of insecurity, right? We all commit to these great feats because we want to prove to ourselves that we are more than what we were once perceived to be or how we perceived ourselves, right? It's like the classic, this is very trending amongst the young guys right now, the classic sort of like, they call it the gym cell. Guy is dating a girl breaks his heart, he then goes to the gym, locks himself in for 6 months, becomes a completely different person. The intrinsic factor that is driving that why, that purpose, is because he wants to be better, he wants to be stronger. He wants to show to himself and to the world that he is a strong person. He cannot be hurt by other people. Pain is the intrinsic motivator. The extrinsic would be the exterior, looking strong, looking powerful, looking like somebody who commands authority because they keep themselves in shape. Those are the two factors for something as classic as an example as, okay, why do people train the way they do to such extremes? Why do people push themselves to that level? Understood? Yeah? Any more questions on the concept of why, or no? Cool. Move on. But there we go. The most important reason why it is strong to have a good why is because it's personal. It cannot be taken away from you, right? Having a strong, especially intrinsic why, it's something that only you can understand. When Michael Jordan would get on the court and shoot at 3 a.m., right, when practice began at 6, and his team would come in and think this guy is crazy, this guy's out of his mind, his why was because he wants to be the best player in the NBA. And did he not achieve it, at least for a period of time? Everybody knows who Michael Jordan is, right? Right? Even if you don't watch basketball, you know who Michael Jordan is because of the relentless effort that he put into becoming one of the best players of all time. And this guy's drive was like a hunger that just could not be met. And that was his intrinsic why. The extrinsic was like, yeah, Michael Jordan, the superstar, right? The money, the fame, etc. That all came externally. But if you have a strong why, just like answering your question, Elias, if you have a strong intrinsic why, which is personal to you, that nobody can take away from you, because at the end of the day, you know why you're doing it. It's your purpose. It's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Then you cannot be defeated, right? So how does this relate to myself? Well, I told myself that within a year, I'm going to change from that to my current physique now, right? And this was done in a very different way compared to how I was used to training beforehand. Instead of relentless grind after grind, day after day, getting physically beaten up by running, doing all these arduous exercises, I thought I'm going to train intelligently because I'm a human being that doesn't like to suffer for too long. Just a brief period of time in short controlled instances, and I managed to not only improve get back to the physique that I had before, but I improved it, right? So I say it's debatable. What is a good physique to you? A bulked physique, a sculpted physique, being lean, just being overall healthy. Again, it all depends on you, right? These are just my examples. But the most important thing is I did it in a manner where I didn't feel like I had to suffer all the time. Okay? And this is introducing minimalist training. The principles of minimalist training is to be able to gain more, right? You recruit more muscle, you lose more fat, you gain more flexibility, more mobility, right? By doing less. You don't need to be in the gym 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Some people go 7 days a week. I used to be one of those guys. I'm telling you, it sucked. I hated it, right? Purely because it wasn't even the fact that I was sore. It's because I live in the UK and it rains in the UK and I hate walking in the rain. But I had to drag my sorry ass to the gym every single day because that is the agreement I made with myself. That's the little soldier in me telling me you have to commit to this, otherwise you're weak, whatever it is, right? I think the men in the room are also nodding their head because we have this conversation with ourselves on a daily basis. It's because you want to be more. You want to gain more out of life, right? And what I'm trying to illustrate here is that this goes so much beyond your physical frame. This goes so much beyond physicality. This is to do with self-worth. This is to do with feeling as though you are connected to your environment around you. By rising and grinding 7 days a week, you are not connected. You are in fact disconnected. You are locked into a bubble which will obscure you from some of the, let's say, the finer things in life, like spending time with your family or your loved ones. Actually being able to retain information that said family or loved one tells you, like, oh, it's my birthday next week. I would like to go to this restaurant. I'm saying this because these are experiences that I had. And since I started condensing and training in a more minimal yet optimal fashion, it helped me just exponentially improve my life, my quality of life, the quality of my relationships, and actually live like a human being. All right, because hands up, who likes pizza? Who likes burgers? Who likes fries? Ice cream? The list goes on, right? You get what I'm saying. We all like the shit that's not good for us, but we can have that while staying fit and healthy in both body and mind. Okay? So gain more. Gain more is not just about getting gains in the gym, it's about getting gains overall. Doing less. Humans, we are physiologically designed to work, yes, but we are psychologically designed for rest. Humans actually learn more when we play. That's why babies, from the time that they come out of the womb, are always playing with the world. They're constantly touching, they're climbing, they're crawling, right? Even as big babies, which we all are, we are constantly learning, we are constantly evolving. We constantly need to have that balance between work and play, right? Work and rest. So by doing less, you allow yourself to promote more rest within the body. And by doing so, you feel more relaxed, more at ease. Because, I don't know, let's just say it's a public holiday, right? How many people here get that sigh of relief knowing that they don't have to clock in for work, or that they don't have to go to the office and deal with Julia, who can't stop whining about how many bad dates she's gone on over the weekends? No one here is named Julia, right? Just maybe a bad analogy. This is a lived experience. So the point is, you do less, you enjoy more from life. Okay? And training intelligently, it's just about knowing what to do and how intensely you should apply yourself on those days that you're doing whatever it is you're doing. So in this case, we're talking about fitness. So it's about knowing, okay, if you are going to do like a strength session, for example, you train with the correct intensity, right? And if you do this within the sort of blocks that have been carved out for you, you're achieving a minimalist lifestyle. You don't feel as though you have to drag yourself 4, 5, 6 times a week to the gym and train. And you get to do more. You get to be a bit more human. And that concludes the minimalist training segment. Are there any questions? I understand that some of the concepts may seem a bit foreign, so please ask away and I shall expand.
Well, what are the 4 exercises?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So the exercises, again, it all depends on what your goal is, right? So as a trainer, for example, a classic conversation I have is, hey, I want to build muscle, I want to lose weight. Okay, and by weight, it's fat, right? That's what's meant. That's the terminology that's used commonly. But what people mean is, I want to say build muscle and I want to lose fat, right? Whether it's the men or the ladies, it's just a concept of I want to look better in my clothes. I want to be more fitted in my clothes. I want to feel better in my skin. With a minimalist principle, what I would typically do is run you through a consultation and understand, first of all, what is your level of fitness? So, can you lift is the first question. Because believe it or not, most people have terrible form when it comes to executing exercises in a gym environment, especially when it comes to resistance training. The second question is, do you want to go to the gym to achieve your body? Because you don't need to be a gym monkey to achieve a good physique. There are plenty of places outside where you can achieve the same physique, doing bodyweight exercises. Some people enjoy running more, so we incorporate that into a minimalist training segment. And all all this means is that you're just going to be training less throughout the week and doing it at a more intense period while you're in your training block. So resistance training would be typical, like push-pull legs. I've got Elias working on that right now, okay? And that would be 3 exercises based on your main points of development. So it's a bit broad because everyone here will have their own individual points to improve on. But it would be no more than 3 to 4 exercises, 4 days maximum. 4 days maximum. You don't need any, personally you don't need any more than 3, but some people like to go in for that 4th just for consistency, just to build consistency, and so they feel they're getting a bit more. And so it would be, the exercises dependent on what you want to do, right? So that is the minimalist training segment. The next part is more to do with your well-being and Reiki. And I actually want this to be more of a practical element. But first I'll give you a quick breakdown for those of you who don't know what Reiki is. Reiki is an ancient Japanese art form where you use the energy of the body to heal the body and mind, harmonizing or bringing balance to the energy centers, otherwise known as chakras. Are you familiar with this term? Right? So there are 7 main chakras along the body, and each of these, if you imagine, are like a plate spinning, right? Like an energy plate spinning. And the concept of Reiki is to use the palms of the hands to channel the energy of the healer into the subject, the client. And the funny thing is that everybody here in this room has the ability to channel their own energy, because we're human beings, and to be human is to feel. And if you can feel, you can move your energy, right? Because emotion is just energy in motion. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people seem to understand that you have everything that you need to actually bring harmony to yourself. Now this is also a quick disclaimer. This does not rule out, professionally diagnosed medical ailments, diseases. But in some cases, Reiki can actually help with reducing the symptoms. So in my line of work, I've had a few clients who exhibit like bipolarity, schizophrenia, ADHD, and through the Reiki healings, it actually helps bring down their symptoms, helps them become a bit more, I hate to use the word normal, because what is normal, but a little more harmonized, a little more at ease. So what I'd like to do is just run everyone through a quick guided meditation to connect with themselves, so you can actually start to channel your own energy, okay? So if we can all just sit with our hands on our laps, just close your eyes. And we will begin, okay? So let's start by taking 3 deep breaths in through the nose. Really fill your lungs with air. When you feel the walls of your lungs expanding to the limit, slowly exhale all through the nose. We're remaining completely in nasal breathing. Good, once more. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And as you're expanding, I'd like you to visualize a golden light, or like a golden fire just building itself in the center of your chest. Good. With the next deep breath, imagine this light building two streams, connecting, going through the crown of your head, the top of your head, and out through the base of your feet, connecting into the earth. And from here, we're just going to continue to breathe nice and slowly, still nasal breathing. And imagine this light expanding throughout your body. And while we're doing that, we're going to rub the palms of our hands together. Good. Bring the palms of your hands up to your chest. Feel the heat build up within your hands. Good. And from here, continue to breathe. And now, if you stop and just hold your hands just a few inches apart, you might feel like a shimmering coming off your fingertips, off the palms of your hands. You might even feel a little bit of a magnetic pull. We've now activated the polarities within our body. Just take a moment, just gently, wiggle your fingertips, move your hands around, get a feel for the sensation. And now if you open your eyes, I will demonstrate what we'll do next. The next part is we're going to call this scanning. So from here, if you just take the palm of your hand, you can place one at the top of your forehead, one by your root chakra, and if you just gently hover your hands over your body, you may notice that at certain parts of the body you feel different heat signatures. It might feel a little bit warmer, might feel cooler at certain parts. Just take a moment to check in with your body. Anybody feeling anything? You can take it to the crown of your head. You might feel almost like there's some energy spinning there. That is a very big chakra we all have, that is constantly active. That's what the mind field is. Bring your palms up to your face. Feel behind your ears. Do you feel any pulling? Anything pushing against your hands? Is it hot? Is it cold? And gently bring your arms down to your sides. How did that feel? Relaxing? Calming?
Yeah.
Any thoughts where you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? With his fairy magic. It's now reached baseline. What you just did right now was what we call a scan of the aura. So from a Reiki healer's perspective, in order to become a healer, you have to, one, study the course, and then you become what's known as attuned. This is done through crystals that are used to infuse the Reiki symbols into the palms of the hands. This is how you can actually use Reiki to heal other people, and you become more receptive to it. But humans by default are already receptive to receiving healing, as well as being in tune with other people's energetic fields. So what we did just now was just get a feel of the the etheric layer, the energy layer of the body, or the aura, as it's normally called. You familiar with this term, aura, like auric field? And this is essentially where all our thoughts, all our actions, and the environment around us. If you imagine, it's like like a feather duster gathering dust. Yes, like a microfiber cloth gathering dust. This is what gets attached to our energy as we move through the world, as we meet people, as we mix with other people too. Here's a question to you all. How many of you have ever been, say, just walking through the streets and you randomly just get annoyed? Or you randomly have felt an emotion just out of the blue, just like that. You literally just turn the corner and you're like, oh, why do I feel so dirty? Why do I feel so angry? All of a sudden, I'm just feeling not like my normal self. That is because you've walked through what we call an energy cloud. And this is where the auric field of the body has now become disturbed by a cluster of other energies. So the purpose of the scan is to feel the aura and understand what is actually happening, right? And a good way to tell that your energy is, say, harmonized, because everybody has different energetic fields based on your natural composition. If you're quite a fiery individual, you will feel warmer normally. If you're quite calm, collected, more stoic, you might feel a little bit cooler, but you'll feel a certain smoothness within the field, within the aura, right? And if there is an irregularity, you might feel intense heat at certain places. You may also feel cold, right? This is a sign that there's a certain part of your body that may be malfunctioning. Sounds like such a clinical term. May not be aligned, right? So a classic one is you've got a stomach ache. You may have some food poisoning. You'll find that the stomach here will feel very like jittery. Like the feeling you get when it's just like your body's just not feeling right. You just don't feel well within yourself. From a physical point, we understand that as pain. We understand that as sickness. From an energetic point of view, this would be intense heat. Almost as though someone has like a big bottle of water and it's just gushing, right? And to help harmonize that part of the body, we would do a scan, and then you would do a healing to help sort of seal that plug, right? Any questions so far on the scan that we just did, Reiki, anything deeper?
So if you notice that you have some of these disruptions, for example, I felt that some parts of my body felt colder than others.
Yes.
Is there anything you can do yourself already to harmonize, or does it always come down to a healer doing this for you?
So I would say, yes, so there is, in short, there is something you can do yourself. There are a multitude of things that you can do. The first is, and it always comes down to this, it's always putting intention, right? When we're speaking about minimalist training, we always talk about, or I talk about having a strong why. The why is the intention, right? So if you feel something within your body, you intend for it to heal. You intend for it to change state, right? So you are now also on a neuropathic level reprogramming your pathways for the body to now start aligning itself with the action that you intend, right? That was a mouthful. But long and short is, you are now putting in stage one of the healing process. And you simply can hold your hand to that part of the body, and we call it like beaming light. You visualize and intend that you are now healing this part of the body, and you'll even feel a certain warmth coming into the shoulder, right? As long as you can visually intend it and visualize, your body will naturally start to adjust to it. Okay? The next stage is, I would say, slightly more esoteric. So depending on how open you are to it. If you are the type to use crystals, or if you believe in using crystals, you can use them. They are essentially like wands for wizards and witches, right? It's like a supercharged element that you can use to help boost and harmonize the body. A classic example is using selenite for if you have trouble sleeping, right? Just a quick show of hands. Who actually has trouble sleeping? Yeah, I do. I'm a terrible sleeper. I'm a really terrible sleeper. The crystal that is, if you look into the, let's just say the sort of the properties of certain crystals, selenite is really good for helping you sort of fall into deeper sleep, harmonizing your thoughts and sort of extracting dreams out of your subconsciousness. So you actually feel more rested when you wake up from your sleep, right? So that's something you could look into if you, say, want to use that to help yourself with whatever it is. And depending on how, let's say, if it's, did you say it was like an injury that you sustained?
No, I just said I felt some things not really scanning. So.
Okay, got you. Okay, yeah. So if it's something maybe a little deeper, then you could seek out the help of a Reiki healer or master, right? Because as I mentioned before, the transition from just flowing with Reiki to using Reiki to heal is there's a ritual where you study the Reiki 1, 2, 3 and master course. And you then become infused with the symbols, which allow you to freely tap into other people's energies and actually, for lack of a better term, manipulate to heal, right? But everybody has the power to do a self-healing. I will say this, once you become a Reiki healer, the effects are tenfold, right? So is anyone here more intrigued in Reiki now that you've heard a little bit about it? Yeah? Okay. Good to know for future workshops. Question?
Question. So, okay, for the well-being part.
Yes.
Good. Okay, you mentioned the Reiki, which is an interesting practice. But is there anything else that is more, let's say, practical that everyone, let's say, can apply like straightforward, which can be like a first step if someone is new in this field, for example? Yes. So a classic. Well, I said the first step. It all comes down to intention, right? So if Reiki seems a bit too unknown, a classic one is mindfulness, like mindfulness meditations. Has anyone here done or tried a mindfulness meditation before? Yep. Yeah, it's all the craze now, especially since COVID, because essentially the whole intents and purposes is to harmonize the mind, right? And to bring a sense of tranquility, peace to our beings, right? And for myself, what I found especially useful is actually using mindfulness meditations with this particular type of training, because life is stressful, right? To live is to endure stress. And that's the first stage to understanding how to combat mental stress is to explore mindfulness. So what we did just now, where we visualized the self-healing, we visualized the light going through our bodies, and we put the intention to
you can put the intention to heal, to reach out to other parts of your body. Say, for example, if you have maybe some trouble with moving your wrists, maybe you've had a wrist injury, perhaps even carpal tunnel, putting the intention to heal that part of the body is the first stage. And that would be, exercising mindfulness. Use it in tandem with a training program for your physical health where you do less, you gain more. I think you're on the right path to winning at life. Question.
Add something. When it comes to mindfulness, what I noticed really helped me a lot, and I like, is doing it while doing stretching, for example. That you're like the eccentric muscle, that you're like stretching the muscle and just visualizing the muscle itself stretching.
Yep.
And very slowly, after a minute or 2 or even 5, you can go much further, and it also like it feels so much different. And so I was wondering if maybe some of you know maybe other methods that you have found function in like feeling better or doing better exercise, or just a method that is maybe different than just stretching or Reiki. Or what was it?
With minimalist training.
No, the...
Oh, Reiki?
Reiki.
Yeah.
Is it with an A or an E?
It's Reiki. Reiki, yeah. It's literally flow with nature. That's what it means in Japanese. But yeah, that's a very good point, because I also understand that maybe not everybody cares for that. But what you were essentially describing is what a lot of people practice with yoga, right? So yoga is the main principles of yoga is to become one in mind, body, and spirit. And the whole purpose of that is what we just spoke about, mindfulness, right? So just to sort of offset from Reiki, and also kind of come back to your question, Elias, which is something that you could practically apply, say for someone who doesn't really understand it or doesn't care to understand it. A simple process where you can practically apply the principles of minimalist training, mindfulness, and well-being is to literally combine those 3 elements into the practice of yoga. Because as Lou said, as you do one pose or one stretch, you put the intention to, okay, I want to expand, I want to, go deeper into the stretch, and you use your breath to guide the movement, right? Notice how before we did the Reiki scan, I got you all to almost like set the tone, set the frame by deep nasal breathing. If you just do that on a base level, you will naturally start to zone out from, say, whatever's going on in the mind, okay? I have a very active mind. I think of a million things at any given point in time, and when things start to get a bit too much for me, I just take a moment, take 3 deep breaths, sometimes more, because what that does is it overrides the almost like it shorts the circuit, right? When the thoughts are just constantly racing, by taking deep breaths, you short that circuit so that you put the intention onto your breath. And that's the only thing that matters in the moment. And the same principle applied with the movement and intention of yoga, or in whatever exercise that you're doing, whatever program it is you might be doing. If anyone is currently, training for whatever, it brings about that in my personal belief, it brings about that perfect blend between harmonizing the mind and the body. So I hope that this was informative. Thank you for letting me just rant to you guys for about 45 minutes or so. Any other questions? Please fire away.
Yeah, I have a question for everyone. like know what. First of all, thank you for coming. Even though if we know that there's like a strike, transport is not. Everyone had to find like alternative ways. So thank you for your presence. I wanted to know each one. Just tell his name, why did he come, and what is your relationship with the theme of this workshop. What is your relationship of like physical and mental well-being. So we can start from you.
All right. I guess I always like doing sports and taking care of my health naturally. Try my best to eat healthy, just by living actively. And I was also very interested in the Reiki stuff and what you would have to all say to us. Because I try to get information from everywhere, so there I am. That's it.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'll say I've also had like a similar kind of path as Sravan. In terms of you have these up and downs. You have these like we call it fuck these events. It's like you just enough.
Yes.
Let's make things right. Of course, when you start training it the first time and you do it like for extreme reasons. Oh, I want like this body, or you want like approval from some other things. But in the end, you get in, and you get like even now I can say get more not obsessed, but in line with your own. I want to be my personal record. It's like between you and you.
Yes.
In terms of well-being, the same thing. I've been at the same time that I started training, or the same time I started also like my well-being journey, just like mindfulness, then getting in more deeper things, such as I don't know if you know like transurfing is a practice. You have also lucid dreaming as a projection, which can it's like interesting because we have this physical world, but within us we have there's like an immense potential. For example, just like lucid dreaming, you feel as if you're living a double life, like a life here and life there. It's like I'm living double. And that's also the reason that's the message I would like to give, and that's like a theme which is going to be recurrent. Next events: well-being, health, curiosity, learning. So I hope you like this. Sorry. Yes.
My name is Gauthier. I'm interested in specifically mental health. I had a very difficult year and my mind is in a very dark place. So I actually don't have much trouble exercising, but I do it more so I can stop thinking.
Right, yeah. So I know exactly, well, not exactly, but I've been in a very similar position. Yeah, I need to correct myself there. I've been in a very similar place where, is it safe to say that's the main thing that's sort of driving you forward? You feel like you can just sort of drown out the noise? Okay, then I think something like this would be great for you because it allows you to intentionally put the effort into your training, and in doing so you see the physical change. And when you see the physical change, whatever your aspiration is with whatever it is in life, like we won't get into that, but it's like whatever it is, when you see yourself physically changing, you then have proof, you have evidence that you can actually make a difference in your life, right? And using that and harmonizing this with the mindfulness segment that we just discussed, I think that would help you immensely. So would you be open to doing a minimalism sort of like discovery?
I don't go to the gym.
You don't? Oh, okay.
I do sport, but
Yep.
I don't go to the gym.
Okay.
I don't understand why people go to the gym. That's fine, I'm not judging.
No, of course. Fair enough.
I wish I was able to go to the gym, but I can't.
I have the same problem.
But I mean, I do sports, but
course.
I'll see it.
Yeah. What was, yeah, so
Thank you.
thanks for coming, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Master. I'm so sorry I'm late.
No problem.
It might be
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I'm interested in this topic because I'm a yoga teacher. And actually before, like almost 2 years ago, I also took a Reiki training.
Ah.
Very, very intensive, very short.
Yes.
period. Yeah, so for me, I think I get some benefits from it. So
Yeah.
I really would like to like understand more about it.
Okay.
And also before I learned like some practical like meditation, like how to practice Reiki. But to be honest, for me, like when I come back, I feel it's very, very hard for me like to keep practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's good and I also get benefits from it, but I still very hard like to keep practice. Yeah, so
You mean Reiki?
yeah. Yes, yes. But I know the practice is very important.
Yep.
And also, yeah, so very sorry is I didn't like follow your presentation before, so I'm not sure if you talk like something about like specific techniques of practice or like combine like some diet or even our like lifestyle, like these kind of things together.
Yeah. So no, with the Reiki, I just wanted to give you all a quick introduction as to what it is, and what we sort of introduced was how you can perform a self-scan. Firstly, right? Because I believe that's very important. Understanding that you actually can do something outside the realms of, say, conventional medicine, etc., to help understand your body a little bit better, to bring a bit more harmony and peace within the mind. But it's good that you're giving this feedback, because for future workshops, what I can do is I can actually get deeper into even teaching the Reiki course, because I am a master. Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, yeah, I'm a Reiki master. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the brief. Yeah, I've been a Reiki master since I was 18, so before I even joined the military. And so I've been doing this for a while. I got carried away with the whole minimalist aspect, because I was like, how am I going to teach these guys about training, but doing less and getting more? But yeah, the Reiki, for sure, we can definitely do more with that, and how you can incorporate that into your sort of day-to-day lifestyle. Because I think the thing that a lot of people are opening up to the idea of it, but it's still like one of those things that people don't really know too much about Reiki. It's kind of like the main mental health buzzword is meditation and yoga, right? But there's so much more that you can actually do on the back end. So if you don't have the time to, go to like a yoga class or whatever it is, you could literally be laying in bed, do a self-scan, and then conduct a self-healing on yourself, and actually feel the benefits from that. And again, the intention of this whole presentation was just to bring to mind of the different ways that you can approach your health and fitness in both body and mind goals, right? There's so many ways to go about it, but this is just another way to sort of potentially implement for those who think it might be beneficial. Yeah. Sophie?
I'm a Reiki master as well. And I feel like you should tell this, that I got trained by his mom. So his mom is DOG Reiki master. And it changed my life. It changed my relationship with my family. It's so powerful. Don't forget, we're all made out of energies. We're all mass, So for me, I still go to his mom every 3 weeks or every month to get the healing, and there's many ways you can do the Reiki healing. Like he did it now through a little short meditation, but the way I get it from his mom is I would lie down on a bed and I would listen to the Om, the ancient sounds, and then his mom will be like scanning my body, and she can feel literally everything. If I would be stressed, she would feel it here, because you know, the third eye chakra hears the mind, so all the thoughts are created here, so she'd feel it there, and she would heal it, wherever you need it. But I came because, not because I'm his #1 fan, because also it changed my life, my relationship with my family, my relationship with myself. But as a fellow human being, I also struggled, and I also had, little things. But it's seriously, if you are open to it, you will actually feel it, and you will also be more sensitive to your environment. Because like Sravan said, we walk through people's energy clouds, and even if you're in an elevator with people, sometimes you will feel like, whoa, that was not pleasant to stand next to, you know, someone in the elevator, or you will get a happy, joyful energy feeling from, I don't know, seeing a child entertaining with little toys standing next to you because of the energy, because it's contagious.
Yep.
And that's why it's so beneficial. And if people would be, actually your mom said this, if every family had a healer, if every family knows about Reiki, we could actually
heal a lot of the issues with this world, you know, not just like global issues, but things on a much more intimate and personal level, right? Generational traumas, they get passed down onto us. Mental health that grows from, you know, unhealed traumas, for example. And we can dive deeper on this in a different workshop, but we can talk about things on the like the etheric level. So on a subconscious level, we are all interconnected, right? We're all part of this big hive mind that is the human race. And in you could talk about like lifetimes and different planes of existence. So like Elias was talking about lucid dreaming, the concept of lucid dreaming. Well, we operate almost in like different paradigms on the etheric level, and a lot of the emotions that sometimes come to mind are because we have actually walked that path before. You know, it's like what's a classic? What do we call it? That's it, deja vu, right? You know, when you feel like you've been in a place before, and sometimes you have multiple instances of deja vu. Well, on the esoteric plane, it's because at some point in a different lifetime or in a different walk of life, you have crossed that threshold. And so your current physical being has now moved past that point, and that's where the polarities collide. And you feel, I know this. It's like, it's also like sometimes, like that baby, he's like 8 months old and he's playing Beethoven. Like which kid can do that, right? These are some of we call them the wonders, the remarkables of the world. But on a deeper level, it's because that being has come down with that knowledge, right? And by tapping into Reiki, it helps you understand that a little bit more. It helps you understand that the energy that flows is this one big, almost like symphony in which we are all, everyone in this room is connected. So on some plane, on a spiritual plane, we're all supposed to be in this room to have this experience together. Because on some level, each and every single one of us has gained some sort of knowledge, value, or just simply here to lapse the time so that the next significant event in our lives can drop into place.